Live from the chicken wing capital of the world, Buffalo, New York. You're listening to the Childcare Bridge podcast, your source for the best tips, tools, and tactics on how to market and grow your childcare center, ensuring total domination. Total domination. This is the Childcare Bridge, and this is your host, Michael Tasner.
How can you get better results with your marketing and invest less time and money? The answer is simply AI. So in today's episode of the Child Care Bridge, I'm going to talk about leveraging AI in your marketing. Now, in last week's episode, I let you know that I have not seen anything in my business career in the last 25 years that is going to make as big of an impact on the economy, on businesses, on work than AI. Like, it is growing literally as we are talking. Everything is changing, new tools, new resources, new language models. Like, it is absolutely insane. Now, you do have a slight edge. And the slight edge is that you're not in a business that is all done over the computer. You're not in a business that is kind of simply manual, redundant tasks all day long. Kids have to come to your facility, have care. So you have that brick and mortar, dare I say, protection. However, and this is a big however, if you are one of those centers that decides to not jump on all things AI over the next couple of years, what I'd spoken about last week on the show is that you are not going to necessarily be left in the dust. But from a competition standpoint, the centers that are leveraging AI across their businesses, across their locations, they're either going to A, have better margins, so they're going to make more money because they can do it cheaper and quicker, or B, they're going to lower their prices, keep the margins where they essentially are, but then they're going to take over. And you're going to try and figure out how they're charging certain tuition, how they're able to open up more locations, how they're growing so fast, and then you will be left in the dust. So today I want to talk about what are some of the ways that you could leverage AI bots, AI agents, and we're going to get a little bit more technical than we have in the past. But I want you to kind of stick with me. And I want you to look for that one thing. In every single episode of the show that I do, I want you to find that one thing. What is that one takeaway that I can implement in my business? I might throw at you 15 different ideas. But I want you to have that one that you, again, actually, you move the needle on. You don't just, well, that was a good idea, and then you move on. I read at least one or two business books every single week, and I'm looking for that one thing from the book. What's that one next step? That one thing that can help me tweak something? So when I look at marketing, my step one for you is that you need to figure out where things are. And that sounds a little bit, what do you mean figure out where things are? And working with hundreds of centers just like you, I know that you don't often have a pulse on where everything is, everything that is taking place, everything that is being posted, marketing and advertising, and it's all about any touch point with a prospect or a customer. And that literally is anything that is out there. So the most simple of places are your website and your Facebook account and the sign on the front of your building and maybe some materials when the families walk in. But what are all the other things that are out there? If you have a third-party marketing agency, getting really fully up to speed on all the different things that are out there? Is your team helping? But being able to kind of size up so that you just have this understanding of what's our baseline, what is actually being done day in and day out, week over week, month over month. What are we actually doing? And it very well is minimal. Because one of the biggest challenges that we see is that childcare centers, they don't heavily invest in marketing when they should. And I'm not going to go off on that tangent because you have heard me speak about that topic, I mean, at least 50 times. At least 50 times. So, step one, getting a handle of all the marketing that's being done, everything that's out there. And you're most likely going to find, well, maybe your stat, like, yeah, they were updating your Facebook page a little bit more. Maybe you're going to find that you actually have a platform on TikTok or Instagram. Well, one of the teachers has been managing it for you. I need you to get a stock of everything as to where it's at so that you're kind of at that baseline. Okay, great. So we've got that. Step two is I now want you to start to see where the gaps are. So by way of gaps, like what are all the things that you know that you should be doing that you're not? Are you not sending rapid responses to people that fill out a form on the website? Are you only posting a few times a week on Facebook and Instagram and you're nowhere to be found on YouTube or TikTok or X or any of the other platforms? You're not doing any direct mail. You don't have any partnerships with other, look for all of those gaps of the things that you have at least heard at a conference, a seminar, from me, from a book. Like, yeah, I know that I should be doing these different things. Here's what I am doing. Here's what I believe that I should be doing. So you now have kind of two baskets of stuff. And what I'm looking for you now to do is to just pick one. And it could be something that you're already doing that you want to get better at. Like, hey, we've got a very active Facebook page, but we're only posting every other day. But we get a lot of great comments, parents, they're sharing stuff. And then once a week we post this really fun recipe and we get like a lot of engagement. You're looking for that one. So it's either going to be something that is currently being deployed that either is working well that you want to accelerate, make it better, or it could be something from this list that you're like, yeah, I should be doing that, but I'm not. So I want you to pick one of those. Now here's where things get fun. Depending on which of those items you picked, you're going to be able to deploy some AI technology to help you speed things up. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of kind of 101 things from a marketing standpoint, and then we'll get a little bit more advanced. So the easiest of things that you can do is to create a Teams account on ChatGPT. I believe it's $20 or $25 a month. You can invite one or two of your team members or even your agency that you're using. And I want you to load as much stuff in there as possible. And all that you're going to do is you're going to load in brand manuals. You're going to load in if there's videos of you talking, audios, emails that you send to parents that aren't confidential or like about their kids. I want you to train this engine so that it actually has a really base of this is more about you. This is more about your center so that it understands kind of the way that you've been communicating. So for the first couple of days or the first week or so, you're going to just load stuff in, load stuff in, load stuff in. You're not going to ask it to do anything. You're going to say, for the next week, I'm just going to load stuff in so that you can better understand my brand and kind of how we've been communicating in the past. That is your base among the easiest things that you can do. Step two is you're now going to give ChatGPT a couple of prompts to see how it has done by learning about you. Now, one little basic secret is that a lot of people feel like they need to be prompt engineers or they need to understand prompting. Like, if I don't give it a good prompt, I'm going to get a bad output, and that is partially true. But if you don't know what to ask it, go to the engine and say, can you give me an example of a prompt that I need to give you so that you can produce X? So in this case, what I'm looking for you to do at the most basic of levels is have ChatGPT start to produce some social media content for you so that you can take your X content, Facebook, you can take things to another level to where you're not just posting a couple times a week, you're posting a couple of times a day. Your prompt could look something like this. Act as if you are the social media manager inside of our center. I want you to create 50 pieces of content that I can post on Facebook, 50 things I can post on X. Ensure that you're looking at the materials so that you're aware of how we communicate as a brand, and you hit go. Now you're going to start to see how it kind of gives it back to you. And from there, you can start to have that conversation to where you're pushing back a little. I want more of this. I want less of this. And you're able to start to kind of gauge how things are moving. You're going to feed it some more information back. Well, I really like these posts number 1, 9, 12. Give me 10 more of these. And you're just going to kind of go back and forth a little bit to where you now have, let's call it 50 social media posts that you can then give it another prompt and say, give me the data in this format. So depending on what tool that you're using, if you're posting manually, if you're using a tool like Hootsuite, or if you're scheduling stuff out, you can tell it exactly how you want to have the final outputs. You're not just having to copy and paste. So now what you've done is you've trained a little bit ChatGPT to learn more about your center, so where you now have an engine that can start to spit out content. And I want you to start with social media content. Now, social media obviously is very image driven. You can get a lot of really great images off of AI. You can get images from the day-to-day operations within your centers. The tools that we've been using, but I want you to start with an easier to use one, and that would be Canva. Canva has an entire section to where you can be going on here and you could be having it take the content and matching the content. I'm going to load in 50 pieces of content so you can see what the post is. I want you to give me a realistic image for every one of these posts. Boom, done. The tool that's a little bit more advanced, that was widely talked about and is still widely used, is a tool called Midjourney. It's a little bit more of a complicated tool. So Canva and their AI features, they've been producing really great content. They've been producing really great slides. You can have the content and really give whatever outputs you're looking for to make it just look really, really great. Between ChatGPT and Canva, you literally could be producing more social media content than you've been putting out in the last couple of years. Now, as you start to get things kind of created, you're going to continue to train ChatGPT to get better and better and better so that you're feeding it back information. Hey, these 5 posts did really well on Facebook. These 3 didn't do as well. Give me more like this. And it'll continue to get smarter and smarter and smarter as you feed it. The secret sauce is feeding it information. Now, when you want to take things to another level, you're going to have this tool start to produce emails that you can start sending out to parents. You can have it create emails for prospects. But as you start to learn it, all that I'm looking for you to do over the next week is to just start to play with it a little bit, start to train it, load in some content first before we get to the super advanced stuff. So some of the things that we're going to talk about in coming episodes, we're going to talk about how you're going to train and use a tool like HeyGen and 11 Labs to where it's going to clone your voice and it's going to clone you so that if you want to have talking head videos all over the internet, if you want to have talking head videos for your onboarding, for example, all that technology exists. But start to train it. That is the baseline to where it knows about you and your centers. It knows your brand. So you don't just go to it and say, give me 1,000 pieces of content. It's going to be a miss. And then match the graphics with the content using Canva and their AI features. And if you want to be a little bit more daring, use a tool like Midjourney. But we're going to talk more and more and more about not just the content efforts, but how you're going to use it to help maintain and manage the website, how we're going to have it help you rank higher in Google. And we're going to continue to train this engine. But to me, it starts with the social aspect. And it's one of those kind of quick wins that you can move and advance very, very quickly. It's not something that's going to take a ton of your time. It's something that your team can work with outside of you. Your team can be feeding in information. You can be feeding in the curriculum, for example. You can be feeding in all the emails that you've sent to parents over the last 5 years. The more stuff that you feed, the better trained it will get to give you the better and best outputs. That's where I want you to start from a marketing perspective. We're going to get more and more advanced. We're going to be talking about higher levels of content production, data analytics, doing one-to-one personalizations, having it create you direct response emails, direct response postcards, all of that stuff. But we have to kind of walk before we run. So I wanted to whet your appetite today, give you a little bit of homework. Next week, we're going to talk about another area at your center that you can start to leverage AI. So we're going to be building every single week on the prior week's content. Get out there, start training ChatGPT with some of your content, and have it start to accelerate your social media efforts. Michael Tasner signing off. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. I'll see you next week.